on, guys? So what I did is fast forward time a little bit till the next morning here. That way, because we kind of played up until midnight, figured that was a good time to call it. And so it's morning. We have one more day of spring, and we don't have much left of this field. Maybe another hour or so, and we'll be done with our harvest, and then we can kind of focus on doing maybe some repairs or something like that. Maybe we'll do that in the early spring. Come winter. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and request a driver. This is our driver. Gonna have him. Alright, so we found our combine. Which is great. And then hopefully he'll come out and not hit our irrigation system. Anyways, so I'm using the realist the season data from I believe it's Amory, which is about 10 or 15 miles east of here. Osceola didn't have any kind of data available for temperature, rainfall, snow, light, and things like that. So. What's going on, mile long, Luciano? I also adjusted the interest rates for the bank on a 7-year note instead of a 1-year note, and adjusted the land rent to be about kind of what it is around here. $185, $200 an acre, which is roughly like 0.5% or 1% or something like that. 5% or something. I think it was 5%. Brazilian. What's going on, Wesley? Gonna stop our driver. And then we'll have him come unload us on the way back. So we finished up all of our long rows. Now we're kind of getting back to a little bit more manageable passes here. A little bit more squared off as we finish up our long passes. We probably need another 10 fully loaded grain carts out of this field to hit our 55,000 bushel goal. It's not going to happen. We might get 4 or 5, so we'll probably still end up over 50,000, 51, right around there. What's my opinion on the new DeVere 2018 models? I wouldn't call anything 2018 new. A lot of the 2019 stuff's already out. I don't really have an opinion. Kind of looks like the same old stuff. Not a whole lot of new changes. So this is a pretty easy field to harvest. You know, it's essentially a square. One edge near the river there is just a little funny, but for the most part, it's a square. The first half is pretty simple, and then once you get on this other side of this irrigation unit, the field approach is kind of more on the east end here, so you need to make sure you're calling your combine, your grain cart, and sending them when you're past this, otherwise it has some issues. I'll let you know what I think of 19 when it comes out. How about that? In my opinion, it makes no sense to speculate. Yeah, I was thinking of getting a Corvette here. There's a couple nice Grand Sports with a 2LT package. You know, the Watkins Glen Gray 17 for, you know, some good, decent price. The issue is the Detroit Auto Show this January. They're supposed to be releasing the 2020 models, which is apparently when they're gonna release the C8 version. So the current generation C7 is going to be severely discounted after that. And rumor has it there's going to be a mid-engine Corvette. In my opinion, it'll probably look like a 430 Italia Ferrari, which I would definitely get that over the front, you know. And it's supposed to have, maybe not 2020, but the next version in 21 will have, be a hybrid with a front-wheel drive, electric, 1,000 horsepower. So if I was going to get one, I'd probably wait till this coming spring, see the new style, see if I like it, and then everything will be pretty heavily discounted. So one thing I've noticed, they did improve the light shader, but they kind of limit the amount of shadowing and things like that to like 7 light sources or something like that. So although the light, you know, the lighting in this game is a lot better than it was in 13, and you know, even in 15. 15 was nice because it didn't lag your games when you turn on the lights, but the lights kind of canceled each other out and like made little black squares, and then they fixed that in this game. But still can be enhanced with the number of shadows and things like that. They also have the Z06, which is, obviously a supercharged engine with like 150 more horsepower. Then there's the ZR1, which has even more horsepower, but honestly, I think that's too much horsepower. At least for my first Corvette, you just can't go right into the cream of the crop. You kind of have to put in your time. Your first Corvette can't be the nicest Corvette, that's for sure. Plus, I don't really feel like spending 150,000 on an American car. Yeah, I was never a fan of the the C6 body style. The only Corvette I really like are the new C7s. That's kind of the only reason why I'm pondering getting one, is because it's really the first time I've ever really liked the style of the Corvette. And so I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the new C8. And the issue is the C6s were actually a little bit lower than the C7, so you'd always have issues with scraping your belly pan and things like that. With the new version is it's probably an inch or 3/4 of an inch more clearance, so don't really have that issue. Yeah, I mean the mid-engine, I think a lot of people are gonna be, excited, but there's also gonna be a fair amount that don't like it just because the Corvette has such a long history of being a front engine. But people have been wanting it for forever. And I mean, when did the first Vet come out? Like 53 or 55 or something like that. So you got over 60 years of your classic Corvette. My only fear is that the Corvette's so practical now. It has a huge trunk space, a lot of room. If you look at things like the Audi R8, it's just totally stupid. The tiny front trunk, the cup holder, and it's really the amount of practical space is really reduced. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Mid-engine vehicles, they look cool, they perform cool, but they're not always the most practical. So downside with the seasons mod is you have to do repairs on your equipment so often. I actually went into the LUA and I kind of doubled the interval time. Give myself a little bit more operating hours. I have seen the new McLaren. You know, I'm not really a fan of the McLarens to begin with. So I'd never really consider that vehicle. I, I like the idea behind the Corvette. It's not an American muscle car. It's, you know, a true American sports car, and you can literally drive it every day, and it's very practical. And they have a really nice manual 8-speed transmission now with paddle shifters, which would be great for my situation. A lot of city driving. And there's a couple tracks, New Hampshire and Connecticut, some nice road courses. So it'd be a fun to take that thing out for the weekend and maybe have to join a club, and because I'm sure they rent those things for the weekend. So at some point, these guys have to turn off their lights. It's 7:30 in the morning. It's pretty light out. So hopefully we can get this guy at about 85% or close to it, so he can head out. I don't think this guy needs his lights on. He'll be shutting them off pretty shortly here, I think. Oh yeah, great. He's already at 85%. Not too bad, 92%. I'll take it. I'm sure that's probably 1,000 bushels in there. We just need like 9 more of those, but or eight more of those. Probably won't do it. So it looks like the water's frozen actually. The lake over there, the pond, I see some ice. So it is getting close to winter. No snow yet. Looks like it's going to be a couple days till we get some snow in the forecast, but it is frozen, below freezing, and the water is frozen. So Looks like the ground temperature is pretty frozen here too, 28 degrees. Yep, it's a seasons thing. Um, you can have your water planes turn to ice when it gets to the frozen point, which is a nice little feature of seasons. Also, when winter comes, all of my boundaries will change to kind of a white when it's snow. It's activated by the snow, so seasons is pretty cool. So if we kind of zoom out over to the, oh, here's the water. Yep, it's all ice here. Well, waterfall's still going. It's laggy. So we got frozen water here, which is kind of cool. A lot of frozen water. We'll unload that. This guy. So, pretty cool stuff. We're gonna have this guy stop until we get past our irrigation. I feel like I've been in this field forever. It takes a long time to harvest 160 acres. So hopefully when the great demand for corn, price goes up this winter, hopefully we're getting over $4 a bushel. That'd be great because each semi would be getting probably maybe $5,000 a semi load or something like that. I think we could put in like 1,300 bushel in our trailer. Yeah, we've been harvesting this field for who knows how many hours now. We probably got 10 hours into this field for sure. Probably even more than that, harvesting this field. Oh, is this guy? This guy's gonna run into our irrigation unit again because he's stupid. Hard to find good help. Oh, looks like he finally shut his lights off. Good deal. So the game plan for this winter is to, one, sell all of our corn, get that out, pay off some of our loans. I'd like to lease a couple new fields. To pick up some acreage. That guy's coming in hot. Some rooster tails in that soil. I'd like to put tracks on the combine. I'd like to demo or at least pick up a 12-row header. A Capello makes, we'll just get another Capello. I'd like to upgrade to a 24-row planter. Maybe. No way, I wouldn't not taking the irrigation out. It's great. Works great. I love having these pivots in here. Saves me a shit ton of money on fertilizer. This is the only field where it's kind of a little hassle. Because there's no grassy patch for it to park, kind of like in our field 12 and 38. Then Courseplay recognizes the field edge and doesn't drive through it. So this is the only field. They don't have a grassy patch in this field in real life, so we kind of just work around it. It's not the biggest deal. It's manageable as long as you can kind of prevent Courseplay from getting to the irrigation before you can kind of stop it. I'm just surprised because this thing has collisions on it. I'm surprised Courseplay doesn't really recognize the collisions as an object. So what can you do? So it sounds like 19's gonna be the game to get. I guess we'll have to wait and see. The guy that created soil mod is working on Cattles and Crops. So he's kind of one of the founders of that game. So that's kind of why it hasn't been converted. It's because the guy that made it is now working on a competing company, competing game. I'm sure there's individuals out there that would be more than capable to doing it, but I do miss soil mod, that's for sure. Can you imagine seasons with soil mod? That'd be great. So how big of a little section are we gonna take? Probably right here. So we'll probably have another one or two of these little sections. And the field will be done. Try convert it. I'm not even going to waste my time. That would be such a colossal waste of time. You know, I'd rather harvest corn than any other crop. Too bad there isn't, an American, kind of American-sized potato or beet lifting equipment, some pull type. That'd be great. Yeah, Magnum, as you know, Farming Simulator isn't the most realistic simulator in regards to farming. We can only do our best. Maybe one day Giants will kind of get the memo. But unlikely since consoles kind of have taken over their thought process. That's exactly right. True story. Consoles are the worst thing that ever happened to this game. Where's our grain cart? Oh, he's back here. Better hurry up. We're at 95% here. Cutting it close there, buddy. You know, I'm surprised Kinsey hasn't been introduced to this game, you know? But I don't really think they have much product over there in Europe, since this is kind of a European-based game. But to be fair, I don't think Brent and Hallmaster are really over there either. So who really knows what their thought process is? Gotta stop the driver there, and I think we're gonna have an issue where the grain cart's gonna have to. We'll try to get him to get on the other side of the irrigation unit. We could still put like 5,000 liters in that thing. We're gonna go ahead and start our driver, get him out of our way. Move! It's gonna take this guy a while to catch up because he's gotta come up this hill, and he's pretty much full and not a whole lot of power, so might take this guy a while to. Oh, he's not going all the way down. Bold strategy. So hopefully we can make it past this pivot a little bit. I actually stop him and get up here a little bit more. Yeah, Magnum, there's a lot of things we can wish for. This game has a ton of potential. Um, but that's kind of the nice thing about all these other games kind of coming out. Even though they're not as they're not to the point of farming simulator in terms of like playability and modability and things like that. It is introducing more competition, and that by itself will make FS better. What's going on, Drum? The thing is, I don't really care about the equipment. I think the equipment's fine. They need to really focus on the actual simulating of farming more, and the complexity of farming, the economy, the crops, the plant health, the natural disasters, and things like that. They really need to kind of gear their focus to that instead of equipment. They're getting way, way too obsessed with the vehicles and the equipment, which is, fine, makes the game fun, but when the farming is so simplified, it's pretty boring. It doesn't matter what kind of equipment you have. At least that's kind of my opinion. They really need to get away from the vehicle simulator and really focus on the farming simulator. So there goes another cart. That was cart number, what was cart number 2? Yeah, we should probably get another 3, you know, at least 2. 2 for sure. Hopefully more. Yeah, Brian, weather should be a huge factor, you know, with the soil, the moisture, wind, tornadoes, you know, droughts. And they should make it so you know, the difficulty and things like that, you in the menu you can turn that shit on and off so you can make the game as challenging and as realistic as you want, or you can make it super like arcadey where you just kind of drive stuff and go and you don't really have to worry about farming it. I mean, that's just kind of the logical, you know, progression of how it should be done. But what do I know? They like to make this argument that, oh, well, there's people that don't want to play, you know, they just want to get in a vehicle and go, they don't want to worry or think, you know, well, make that an option in the freaking menu. Problem solved. Argument null and void. I mean, the whole, like, difficulty setting in this game right now is completely pointless. I mean, what's the point between easy and hard? It doesn't make your yields any harder to get. It makes, you know, it's no challenge. Just kind of changes equipment and loans and money. I think it does affect the yield a little bit, but so it looks like this guy's coming back. Doesn't look like he's gonna kind of ramrod into our irrigation unit, which is great. I'll take it. I can kind of see how hilly this feels. Just some slight, subtle little hills. Nothing too major. Yeah, I definitely think, you know, they have so many options in the menu anyways, like turn off dynamic camera, turn off this, turn off, you know, just add all these features like pesticides on and off, herbicides, natural disasters on and off, you know, realistic, you know, whatever, just can configure that stuff on and off. I really think that would be the easiest way to do it. That way, you know, people that want to play easy, they can. People that want to play a little bit more realistic, they can. happy. Well, as happy as they will be, I guess. Because we're always going to be unhappy about something, that's for sure. One thing I really wish they would kind of implement is like another terrain layer. Because right now it's, a plowed terrain and a cultivated terrain and a planted terrain. But, my John Deere disc really isn't a cultivator, and it's not really a plow. And my 2730 is a combination disc ripper. There should be something for actual ripping, whether that's just kind of deep vertical ripping or you're doing your chisel plowing. There should be like a soil compaction layer to this. Or at least maybe a seedbed prep layer or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, trash management. I mean, the chop straw is kind of adding a little bit to that, where you plow it in and you get a fertilization state, which is kind of cool, but still pretty basic. I just don't think they can go wrong with trying to, make it a little bit more, complicated, a little bit more complex. What really pissed me off is when I was watching that live stream when they were doing like the challenge or that contest thing with the bales. And the guy that was chit-chatting, he's like one of the, heads of like Q&A or like customer outreach or whatever his title is. And he said they were talking about the seasons mod, and they're saying how it's a game change. And then he kind of like follows up. He's like, well, there's a lot of people that didn't like it because it made them think ahead. And he's like, that's kind of why it's not going to be in 19 at the core of the game. I'm like, that is such a stupid argument. That's not even a valid argument. Neither the whole central premise of that is flawed. And I'm like, if people don't like it, they don't have to have it. Just make it in the freaking menu where you can turn it off. So much for that guy's argument, but that just kind of shows me the mindset of kind of where Giants is. They're like, well, we're gonna try to take the easy way out if we can, because it's gonna save us time, and we don't want to step on our console, our little kids that play this game and just want to drive equipment. So that was pretty annoying to hear that. Yeah, fertilization teletypes, right. You know, even if soil mod was converted over, that would just, you know, be great, but that never happened. Probably won't happen. You know, they should really make it a challenge to raise a crop, or at least, you know, spend time in the field, so you kind of have to earn it, you know? Thanks for the subscribe there, Cameron. Appreciates it. Sadly, you know, Max's sim farm was more advanced in the pest and herbicide and natural disaster department for sure. I loved playing that game. It was great. And then you'd hire, you know, you'd harvest your strawberries, and a bunch of people from town would come and pick them for you. If they can implement something like that, it'd be wonderful. You know, but the way they'd implement it would probably be annoying as hell. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. You know, I downloaded that the other day, the Sim Farm, and I had to like run on a like a third party system just to even run it, and it wasn't how I remember it. It was pretty primitive and kind of hard to navigate. I don't play it anymore, but I have good memories. So. guy's gotta be, yeah, 90%. There we go. I'll take it. So we'll probably finish up this little section that we cut out here, and then we'll see how I'm feeling. I wonder if I emptied out that. I should probably empty the semi here. Forgot to do that last time. Too many cards coming in. Can't keep up. gotta stop this guy. Otherwise he's gonna run into our... Stop. This guy's gonna need to get refilled anyways. I don't delete any objects when I'm working on my map. I don't know why you would do that. Handles it just fine. We're gonna have to engage our grain cart driver again. Shut off these lights. See if he's gonna do any better. I think Truck Sim might be the most boring game of all time. Yeah, if your CPU isn't that great, I don't think you'll have the greatest time in GE. I have like 100,000 trees on this map at this point, and uh, sometimes it kind of takes a couple seconds to kind of get back into it when you kind of do a control copy, control paste thing, but when you're doing interactive placement, it's pretty quick. So yeah, when I was making this map initially, I did a lot of kind of painted trees, kind of how the MIG map was, like bushes and stuff, and I'm like, this is stupid, because I didn't know if the game was going to handle. So I just went ahead and just kept putting a shit ton of trees in it. It's fine. Like it doesn't really. The only objects that really kind of hurt the FPS are like the high poly detailed buildings with large texture files. Those are really the only thing that kind of lags the game in terms of maps. It's high poly objects with large texture files that it's trying to render. That's kind of what I figured out to be the culprit of the FPS drop in the map. A lot of the giant stuff has, LOD, so it's rendering a smaller texture on a less, like a really low poly shape, which really helps, like all your trees and stuff, as well as their houses and whatnot. Where a lot of the buildings that are made, like American sheds and things like that, there's no LOD, shape textures and mid maps and stuff like that. So the buildings look great, but they're not really optimized for map performance. And so when you add a lot of those buildings and things like that, you start to kind of get lag. I'm actually gonna tab over. Okay, this truck's empty. How are we doing on? See, that's what I'm saying. They should be able to just make any kind of option you want. You know, look at this fertilization plowing. Like they should be able to add a whole ton of features and make it, selectable. So we are at our 50,000 bushel. So that means we need, just 5,000 more bushel, and we will have met our goal. 55. Billy with the subscribe. Billy? It's fine Saturday morning. It's going good. Just harvesting some corn. Ground is frozen. It's kind of a chilly Saturday morning. It's actually Saturday in game as well. Would you look at that? Am I a doctor? Yes, I am. Shocker, I know. Alright, so I'd like to kind of engage my cart driver here so we can fill him up. really like to have an older STS combine that has, nice modeling and nice textures. But for now, the new 600S series works for me. Hopefully this guy doesn't kind of baja through the... Okay, perfect. Honestly, I feel like we would have been further in this field than what we are, but kind of forget how big 160 acres is in this game. In real life, 160 acre field is, no joke. So, are we gonna fill up another cart here? Maybe. Maybe. It's possible. We're definitely gonna be at 35-ish. No, I don't play 15 anymore. 17's got the better game engine and the lighting engine, so I kinda stick with this. Alright, so that guy's at 91%. I'll call it another cart. Yeah, there's the small dairy I was playing earlier on, the Lindahl Farms. They only had about 165 acres that they own based on the plat book for taxes. So, um, this field is their entire farmland all in one. So, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish up this strip. This guy's gonna go back to the farm. He's gonna unload his cart, and then we need to get this guy refueled. And we'll probably call it a stream. It's been about an hour and a half. And an 8R? I don't really think we need an 8R. That 9R barely can handle that 1100 grain cart on these fields. Um, we don't really have much use for an 8R. I mean, yeah, we could use it if we had to, but this field right across from us, this is Strom Farm. I think this would be a pretty decent bean field, I think. It'd be kind of a weird cornfield, but for draper work, we should be fine. That little fenced-in field, we could do corn in that field, no problem. So I'm gonna shut that thing down here. kind of laggy. I don't use a script per se to place trees. I use the interactive placement. Um, that's just kind of built into GE. And that's kind of what I do to place trees. So here's our cornfield we're working in. Just got a little bit left here. Not a whole lot. I don't know, maybe 30 acres or so. I'd like to pick up this field. It's kind of a strange field though. It's broken in. There's a waterway here. I think I'm going to actually get rid of this waterway and just make it kind of one big field. And that way Courseplay can handle it. So another little field fenced in, be, I guess, kind of a good cornfield. And then these two fields will probably pick up as well. And then we'll probably be, farming, most of this section here, other than that bee farm. I don't really want to pick up those fields, though. Kind of really awkward, triangular things. And there's this tiny little field. We can probably pick up these two fields as well. We own this one, might as well pick up this little sliver as well. I don't know why, but it always kind of lags there. It's really weird. Let's tab over to our grain cart. Let's empty this guy. This guy's gonna get topped off in fuel. We could hook it up to our RX over here, but this guy's washed, fueled up, hooked up to our disc. This guy's ready to go for spring. Alright. Alright, so I'm gonna call it a day on the stream. Might be on later. Just need a break, and so thanks for watching.